Hello, welcome. If you go to the description below, as usual, there should be a Google Drive link to the PDF that you see here. This is this interactive PDF, and you have my permission to download as well. So I'm going to go over 1 Corinthians 15, 24 to 26, as well as Zechariah 13, 8 to 9 a little bit. So let's just zoom in here. Well, first of all, this is the timeline. This is 70 AD right here. This is when the Jews people fled, which is April of 70 AD. The Jews who came to Christ fled in the mountains. Then you have the 1260 days, Revelation 12:6, and then you had the time where there's chaos. The 42 months. The Jews went through tribulation. The 42 months. The Christians went through November 64 to June 68 AD. Yep. So, and then the 42 months times the Gentiles, that was from February 67 to August 31st, 70 AD. So that's basically the timeline that we're looking at. So what did Paul referring to as far as time-wise when he's 1 Corinthians 15, 24 to 26? For he must reign till he put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that should be destroyed, death. And come at the end, and shall deliver it up to kingdom of God, even the Father, and shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. So, so the authority and power was Rome, Caesar, whether it's Nero or to Vespasian during that time. And so, what end would he talk about? The Jewish end, all right? The end of the Jewish age. And so there was a consummation, yes, of the Old Covenant order that took place in 70 AD, but that was not the end. The reason being, you still had Jews who denied Christ in the flesh. They were still alive during this time here. So this was in 73 AD. This the specific date here is April 8th. But that's when the Roman army took over the Masada. And that was when everything was done. So it says, for he must reign, Christ, till he put all enemies under his feet. And what enemies he's talking about? He's talking about those who are persecuting Christians, killing them. Alrighty, so he's trying to, these are both Jews who deny Christ in the flesh, as well as Rome, okay, and Caesar. Alrighty, so he's putting them under his feet. Alrighty, so when did that end? At the Masada. Alrighty, when did it end with the time of the Gentiles? That's August 31st, 70 AD. The time of the Gentiles, that was 42 months. Alright, but not everything had ended yet. Alrighty, so when it says the last enemy should be destroyed to death, well, when you look at what happened here, the Jewish people, they didn't even who denied Christ in the flesh, the Antichrist. They did not want to die to the Roman army, so they just killed themselves. They just burned themselves. Alrighty, so that's what meant the last enemy that should be destroyed is death. They just killed themselves. It is one big suicidal thing. Alrighty, so yeah. So anyway, that's when everything is wrapped up, and about 5 to 6 months later, then you had the marriage supper of the Lamb. Alrighty, that's where let's zoom in a little bit. Then cometh the end. It's right here, the last day of September 22nd, 73 AD. Then when he shall have delivered up the kingdom of God, even the Father. So that's what's going on here. The Father's house, remember, in John 14, 1 through 4. Let's just click on that for a second here. My Father's house are many dwelling places. All right, that's where they stayed at the whole time, in Petra. All right, so deliver up to the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. So everything was put down as of April 8th, 73 AD. The Roman army, they finished Now they didn't die, okay, but in all likelihood, after they finished taking over Assad, the army went off to something else. They spent a lot of time and resources taking this down. It took them a long time. From the time they ransacked Jerusalem and the temple to here, it took a few years. It took a lot of resources to build. They had to build a big, huge dirt ramp. They didn't have big excavating equipment back then like we do today. So anyway, yeah, so that was the end right there. It's also the marriage supper of the Lamb. All right, the last day, John 6:44, is when the perfect came. The Feast of Tabernacles, the regeneration, the rapture, some people call it. It's all occurred right here. All right. So Zechariah 13:8-9. Let's take a look at that. And I will bring a third through the fire. Now, what fire is he talking about? What fire is he talking about? So they were being refined through the fire, right? So what does that mean? You had Nero gave the order, declared war on Jerusalem. So he ordered Vespasian to destroy the temple in the city, Jerusalem. So during this time, there's refining of fire. Actually, it started before that with the Jewish people. There's refining of fire took place. So the Jews who fled, let's see here, they were warned to flee the war, August 66 AD. So Jesus did not tell them, hey, when the Gentiles tell you to flee, flee. Okay, he gave them instructions. So those who obeyed Christ escaped the fire. Those who fled based on what the Gentiles told them, yeah, they fled, but then they burned. Alrighty, the whole villages were burned down. All right, and so they made it through the fire. Those who stayed, so the Jews who stayed throughout this whole entire tribulation, the green line represents the Jews who came to Christ. They fled right at the very end. And so, like Jesus said, he who endures to the end will be saved. Those who did not, they were burned. All right? So that's what it means by refined through the fire. Okay? We bring a third part through the fire. All right? And so, so they fled just after sunset on Nisan 14, day of Passover, and all the signs pointed them that was the time to go. All right. And 24 hours later, that's when the flood came through and slaughtered everyone in the temple. So they endured to the very end. All right. So the second part here, refine them as silver is refined. What we talk about there. So they made it through the fire. All right. Now they fled. Now refining silver at the 1260 days here. All righty. That's where they're together, being refined like silver. All right. And then test them at gold is tested. That is the last day. That gold is tested. All right. That's where Jesus hands them the kingdom, even to the Father. All righty. All right. So you had the testing the fire, refined by the silver, and testing the gold in that last day, or marriage supper of the Lamb. All right, so hope that makes sense, and hope you enjoy the material, and hope you continue to enjoy your studies. Have a great day. Thank you.